Welcome to the Business Engine podcast. I'm Paula Burgess, founder of Beyond the Maze, and I'm passionate about helping business owners build businesses that run smoothly, grow confidently, and don't depend on them every single day. Over the years, I've had the privilege of working alongside many incredible business owners, including many who are neurodivergent. And one thing I've learned that success isn't about working harder. It's about building the right systems, leading great people, and creating a business that works the way your brain works. Each week, I'll share practical strategies, real business stories, and lessons I've learned from working inside businesses to help you spend less time putting out fires and more time building a business and a life you love. So let's get started. Welcome to the Business Engine podcast. This is my very first episode, and I'm so grateful for you to be joining me. So, I've spent years helping business owners behind the scenes, and I've realized so many of the lessons that I've learned could help thousands more people if I simply shared them. So, that's exactly what this podcast is about. The podcast is not just for VAs, not for allied health, not for ADHD business owners. It's simply for business owners who want to build a business that supports their life instead of it consuming your life. So, why did I start my business? Basically, I started my business around the needs of my son. I was a financial planner before that. I actually started my career in nursing, so it's gone a little bit different from there. But I was a financial planner for 10 years before I went into business for myself. My son was diagnosed with ADHD by the time he was about 3 or 4, even though not really officially diagnosed, but we knew it was coming around the age that you can be officially diagnosed. And he basically was expelled from his daycare at the age of 4. So it was a pretty traumatic time for me. But I kind of knew that at that time that if he was struggling with daycare, then school was going to be on a whole nother level. And I wasn't wrong. So I went to my bosses and I said, I think I'm about to become the worst employee ever and the most unreliable employee ever, because I have a feeling when my son starts school, Jesse, his name is, that I'm going to be called up every other day to go get him or come calm down a meltdown or something. And I was not wrong. So I definitely would have been one of the worst employees. So I started my own business. And initially, I started my business supporting financial planners. That's where I was qualified to do. I would write the plans for financial advisors. I would do a little bit of the admin for financial advisors at the time, and I'd do some advice as well. So I was like, well, you know what? I can go out and I can support financial advisors. And that's where I started. I got my first financial advisor, then I got my second one, and there'll be a whole story about that. And I started part-time, just working part-time for the next 3 months while I built up my business, and started my business officially full-time when my son started school. So that's basically, where I was at. Luckily, I had a very good friend at the time who was a business coach. So he just kind of helped me along the way and said, go and read this book and only read half of it because the other half's not irrelevant. Then when you're ready, come back to me and we'll have a coffee. So I came back and went, I'm done. And he said, well, nobody ever does that. So I showed him that I was serious, and away we went, and he mentored me to help me build my business. So I just wanted to have the flexibility. And then I was driven to give the flexibility and support to other parents, or even not even parents, but even other people, to work in a workplace that provided them flexibility to have a life. So if I was doing that for my team, then basically I really wanted other business owners to do that as well. And I thought my business would become this big, massive business, and I had it all mapped out, ready to go, but it wasn't the case. And look, right now, at the time of recording this, I have 8 team members, so it's not tiny, but it's not as big as I had expected it to be, and I actually don't want it to be as big as I expected it to be. And I just will keep putting in systems, making business more efficient, and moving forward with it, and hoping to inspire other business owners to do the same. So, I had lots of challenges along the way. Definitely many team members that have come and gone because I haven't chosen correctly and they haven't been the right fit for my business. But now the team we have are really good. They're on the ball, and I can go away from my business for days at a time, and it just runs itself. And I know it's in good hands with two key players of the business who treat my business like their own. So I want you as a business owner to have that flexibility as well. So you are not tied to your business. So when my business started, I realized that my biggest problem in business wasn't about the marketing, although I'm not particularly great at marketing. Actually, I would say I'm not good at all at marketing. I go out and network. That's pretty much my extent of marketing. And I don't really like that either, but that's a whole nother podcast. And it wasn't about finding the clients. It wasn't working harder either. Like I've put in some ridiculous hours, like most business owners have. I've been burnt out at least twice in my journey, probably more, and I didn't even realize it. But I realized that the hardest part in business is when everything depends on the owner. And basically, and that's where I'm driven to really support people, to help them put those systems in place, make their businesses so much more efficient so things can just flow. We've got clients that they've gone overseas and they're checking their emails all the time, and they're supposed to be enjoying time with their family, and they're just checking emails and they're doing invoices and they're chasing payments and all of this when they're trying to have a holiday. So when we've sort of stepped in, we've automated some things, we've got the team to help them out. And so now they can go away in their business, enjoy time with their family, and not really have to think about it. It's because we've got the process in place to make it feel like that they trust us enough to go, yep, okay, I'm going to switch off for a week and don't even have to think about the business. And then what I've brought into my business is basically, because of my son's journey with ADHD, I then and did a ADHD coaching course. Was an ADHD coach for a little while. Coaching other parents with children with ADHD is where I went. But then I discovered that I was reliving my own trauma way too much, and I couldn't handle it. So to protect myself, I actually stopped coaching parents with ADHD children, and moved into. I was still running this business, so it was a virtual assistant business at the time, still is virtual assistant, but we've definitely developed from there, and basically grew into supporting business owners, neurodivergent business owners. And I realized that many business owners I was already working with were neurodivergent anyway, particularly with ADHD or even ASD. And as an ADHD coach and someone who is passionate about understanding how those different brains work, I saw the same patterns over and over again. And it wasn't just these business owners. It wasn't that these business owners lacked ability, because they definitely did not. But they often had an incredible vision, or they do have an incredible vision and creativity. But what they needed was the systems that worked with all of that, and not against them. So having that ADHD coaching skill set and the background with what I've implemented for my own son, and even to a point my own business, I've got a couple of neurodivergent people on my team as well. It was just a huge difference in me being able to work on that with other business owners as well. So that's what I bring to the party as well. So what this podcast is going to cover, for the next, whenever I finish stop doing it, is, we will look at why business owners become the bottleneck. I've mentioned a couple of other things there before about what what we'll talk about. I'll talk about different client experiences. I may even get some clients on board to interview, which would be pretty cool. We'll talk about things that the leadership that actually works. We'll talk about neurodivergence and how you can succeed if you're neurodivergent business owners, how you can work with your team that might be neurodivergent as well. We'll talk about building systems that save time. We'll talk about delegation without things falling apart. And trust me, I've done that a few times. So, I've got some experience there. Hiring the right people, some operations, and how we can put that in place and make that really excellent. Growing without burning out, because I've also been there a few times too. And then some lessons from other business owners. As I said, I'll try and get some clients on for that, or even other people that I network with as well. And then maybe some conversations. And I am a crazy motorsport car fan, maybe even a crazy Disney fan, which you can probably already guess by what's up below. If you could see, if I can tip my camera up for those that are watching on YouTube, can't really see. There's even a picture of a Porsche there. That's my gold car. So yeah, and now I've just stuffed up the camera, so just bear with me and I'll push it back. Yeah, so there'll be occasional motorsport lesson in there that is surprisingly very relevant to business as well. So let's just finish up today. So that's a little bit about me. So if there's one thing I hope you can take away from today's episode, which is this, apart from knowing now who I am, is that you don't have to build a business that depends on you. In fact, let's not build a business that depends on you, because how are you going to sell it? A lot of my questions that I ask my clients when I do audits, or new clients when I'm doing audits of their business, is what's your end game? Are you just going to walk away from your business so you've spent the last how many years building it? And then if it all still relies on you, how do you walk away from that to sell it and get something out of it with all the work you've put in at the end? And so many people don't have that. So we like to work with people to make sure they do have that. You can build a business that gives you freedom and supports your team and allows you the lifestyle that you started the business to create. So I'd rather, you watch me for that at least, and then hopefully you can take away some few tips to get some systems and processes in place. So that's it from me, just a little bit of an intro, and I look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Bye. Before we pull into the pits, here's this week's Pit Stop Challenge. Take one idea from today's episode and put it into action this week. Remember, operational excellence isn't built through motivation, it's built through consistency. Small improvements, implemented consistency, create extraordinary businesses. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love it if you follow the podcast, left a review, or shared it with another business owner. And if you're ready to build a business that doesn't depend on you, visit beyondthemaze.com.au to learn how we can help. Until next time, keep building better systems, keep moving forward, stay in the driver's seat of your business, and I'll see you back on the track.